Hi, my name is Kevin Snyder, and I'm an estate and elder law attorney at Snyder Law in Irvine, California. And today's share is about a conversation I had with a client this week who was very concerned about her older brother continuing to drive. She had gone and visited him over Thanksgiving and was very scared that he's going to hurt himself or somebody else, and she doesn't know how to approach the situation. So she called me up and said, "Kevin, I need some help. What do I do? Do you have any tips?" And we had a great conversation, and I offered her a lot of different strategies and tips of how to approach the situation. And I thought that that might be helpful for you guys to hear. Because we all know somebody in our lives, whether it's a neighbor, a friend, or a family member, that just probably shouldn't be driving anymore. And we got to ask ourselves, what are we going to do? Are we going to sit on the sidelines and hope and pray nothing happens? Or are we going to take some effective measures to make sure that we are protecting them and other people? It's not always easy, and unfortunately, the right decisions in life are often the hardest. So let me share with you what I share with my client. So first, I offered, look, you don't have to go in there full bull. You don't have to have the major family intervention. Start small. Have just a conversation with your brother. Share with him your concerns. Come from a standpoint of compassion and care, and share with them why that you are so concerned. You're going to hurt them, they're going to hurt themselves or somebody else. They might not realize that their driving is that bad. And hearing it from another person that they might hurt somebody, they might be so horrified about that it's not going to be a big issue to give up any independence in driving. Or you can take it from a standpoint of more persuasion. Maybe there are some touch points that you know of, or you have another family member or friend that has a better relationship, that they can either join you in the conversation or have the conversation themselves. And you can look at different ways to spin the conversation. You can say, look, is it even cost effective for you to drive anymore? The car is older, a lot of maintenance to it, gas has gone up, you're paying insurance every year and registration. How often do you actually use the car? Maybe it might make sense to take a ride-hail service like Lyft or Uber instead of paying all this money into an aging car. So the point is that you know your family member, your loved one the best, and you might think of different persuasive ways outside of simply, look, I think you're going to hurt somebody, as an approach in having the conversation. Now, outside that conversation, some other tips that I gave my client was, well, have you looped in their doctors? What's been going on medically in their life? Because it might be that their diminished driving skills have more to do with a reversible condition than something that's more permanent or more degenerative. It could be that they don't have the right glasses, they have hearing loss, or maybe a medication that they're on is affecting their reaction time when they're driving. So if you're bringing that to their doctor's attention, then maybe they can take some correctable measures, and now it's not this whole big deal. They're back to driving safely. But it also might be a clue into their doctors about things that their doctors just don't know about, and they're not hearing directly from their patient, because oftentimes we all as people want to make our situations rosier than they really are. Think about conversations you have with your own doctors. How honest are we with our doctors? So going with your loved one to the doctor, if that's okay, if you can do that, or have somebody else in the family go with that person to the doctor, so that they can honestly share their concerns with the physician, include them in, because it might be something that's deeper there that the doctor needs to know about. And also here in California, the physicians are mandated by law to report to the DMV if they have a concern about a patient's ability to continue driving safely, whether it's due to medication they're taking or a physical condition or disorder. They have to share that with the DMV. And that's important because if the DMV gets that information, they're going to schedule a re-examination for the individual. And that individual, if they don't pass the exam, they're not going to be able to drive. And so now it's not you telling your loved one that they can't drive, it's the state of California that's doing it. And that kind of segued into a third option is actually going to the DMV yourself. And of course, that is a more drastic option. You might feel that you're tattling on your loved one if you're doing that. And I shared this with my client. It's not about tattling on your brother, because your brother could be putting himself and others in harm's way. And that you're just being safe and you're looking out for their safety. Just like I tell my kids at home. I don't want to hear about who said what, who called who a name, but if one of your siblings is doing something that's going to be harmful to themselves or another person, I want to know about it, and that's not tattling. So those are some three tips. You can have the sit-down conversation, different ways to go about that. Loop in their doctors, and of course, you can go directly to the DMV. Outside of that, some other creative things to think about is suggest that your loved one take a driving test, not at the DMV. There are organizations out there that offer driving tests, and it might be an eye-opener for them to see how they perform on a driving test. They're thinking that they're doing really well, but this neutral, more objective test or third party is suggesting otherwise. They might be more apt to listen to you after taking a test like that. And there are other organizations like AAA and AARP that offer training courses to help retrain older drivers on safer ways to drive on today's freeways and highways, and that could be a good solution as well. And of course, you can also think of creative ways to remove access to the cars or offer alternative transportation, whether it's Uber or Lyft, or moving to a location that you're close to things that you can walk to, as opposed to even needing a car, depending on where you live in the state or the country. That might be some good alternative measures so a person can keep their independence. They can go where they want. They're not stuck at home, but they're doing so in a way where they're not getting behind a wheel and driving. So those are all things that I share with my client, and I hope it provides some value to you in the conversations that you're having amongst yourselves and your family about how to approach these very difficult conversations. If you have any questions, follow-up questions, or comments, please put them in the comments. I review them, and I'm happy to respond to you either directly, or I'll get on another video and we'll talk about it some more. If there's something you want to know more about, either on this topic or something related to this topic, please let me know. Put in the comments, send me an email. Happy to respond to you directly, like I said, or maybe we'll feature it on a new video, because that's what this is about. It's getting the information out to you so you can extend out to your community, and together we can make more educated decisions if we have more information available. So happy to help, love to hear from you, and hopefully I'll hear from you soon. All right, take care. Bye.